Hi, it's Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the soundbites. Joining me in studio today is Javen Sears, who is running for Vermont Senate Chittenden Southeast District.
Yeah.
Very good. That should make quite the little business card. Anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here. It's great to be one of the youngest candidates running in the state of Vermont for one of the largest districts. So.
Oh, there you go. Well, you've been everywhere, may I say.
Oh, really? Oh.
I mean, every time I put on my computer and I type in your name, there you are.
Okay, so Google's doing a good job.
Yeah, they're doing a great job on radio, in the print, at meetings, debates.
Yep.
I mean, my goodness.
Yep.
Your campaign manager has been doing a good job, who's listening to us as we speak here, but anyway. So I think people should get to know you first. Could you talk a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yeah. Well,
your fabulous background here.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I come from South Burlington. I was originally born in St. Albans. Most of my family's from St. Albans, so I'm actually an 8th generation Vermonter on my mom's side. Originally, they're from from St. Albans, and all the way dating back to 1790. My grandma was. She keeps track of all this stuff because there's no chance that I'm going to be able to do that. But anyways, I moved to South Burlington when I was in 3rd grade, so I kind of went through all the elementary schools there, and same thing with high school at South Burlington High School. I'm a graduate of 2020, so what a year to graduate that is, because COVID year, that's just unbelievable. I tell people I feel more bad for the people who came right after me, the juniors and sophomores, because they had to do a whole year of online school, rather than me. We got out in March, and we had 2 months, and it wasn't too bad. Yeah. But anyways, a little bit more about me. 2 years, I took 2 years off, and then I got back into school, going to UVM, and I've been studying business there. Also, I was going to originally try to do a physics minor there. I decided not to do that. Instead, I decided to just stick with the what I've been doing is we were talking about it earlier before, but I'm a debater. For the last 2 years, I've been part of the Lawrence Debate Union at UVM, which is if people don't know about it, it's a very prominent debate organization that's been around since, I don't know, it's a 126th year this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're very, very, they won a world championship before, and I got to travel across the world doing debates. I do 2 forms of BP, or it's called British Parliamentary for people who don't know, and also civic debating, which is kind of more good for politics and whatnot, what I'm getting into now that I'm running. So it's just kind of communication skills that really help me, but also learning about the world, learning about issues, and really trying to find good pragmatic solutions in your arguments, because every day someone's going to ask you, okay, why is that true? Is that true? Yep. How are you going to be able to argue that side? I've really gotten to learn and do really well in that fashion.
That's great.
I actually went to Africa last summer for it.
Did you to debate?
Yeah, for debate.
Whoa, what were they talking about?
Well, we have this partnership that they've done. There are actually a few people are in Africa right now, actually. It's Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, they say, and it's home to 10 million people there. And we have a partnership with the University of Dar es Salaam. It's like the #1 school out there in Tanzania for the country.
Wow.
And so the last 3 years, they've had this partnership between the 2 debate organizations, and they have hundreds of kids that debate out there. And I'm telling you, they are some of the smartest kids I've ever met.
Wow.
They're very, very strong debating, but also just very smart. And it's really much needed there to grow their economy and to grow, what they're doing over there in that country, especially East Africa. So they had 2 debate tournaments there, and the second one where they were talking about East African migration policies related to the EAC, which is the East Africa Community. It's a governmental organization. They invited us to come there and debate, and I wasn't partnered with my UVM teammates. It was a small number that was able to get selected to go. So we're talking about 5 kids that got to go down there.
And everybody can speak English, or how does that work?
They speak really good English. Now sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, they're speaking really fast here. I don't know if I can follow, but because the accent. But I was able to keep up. In the last tournament, me and my debate partners from Tanzania, we got 2nd place in the whole tournament out of East African countries, about 60 teams.
That's amazing.
And I was the 2nd best speaker, so I feel pretty good speaking.
Good for you.
It was an awesome time. So I recommend any young people to learn debate.
Well, that's a skill that could make you be fit in anywhere. Really.
I never even
around
would have thought about it.
the boardroom or anything. Just learn to explain your position.
Yeah,
That's cool.
And the story how I got there was I was a freshman in college, and I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I was just kind of going down the business route, and I had my first class ever. I don't know what hall it was, but I go in there from effective speaking class. And I end up acing the class. And she asked me halfway through, like, hey, you should start a TED Talk organization here. You should join the debate team. I'm like, maybe I'll do the second.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll do this. She tried to get me to join.
TED Talk?
I didn't end up joining until my junior year. It came back to my mind. I'm like, sure, yeah, maybe this is something I'll just go for a day.
Obviously, it suits you. It fits you well.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, well, given the business you're going into, hopefully, you're going to need it. You know? And you can always tell when somebody knows the subject on the floor of the House.
Yes.
You know, that comes right through. You don't have to work too hard. You just tell it like it is.
And I think we need people who are educated on these issues more than ever.
I have to talk a little bit in background because you were. I love David Bradbury.
Oh, really?
He is one of my favorite people. I did a show with him. He's Vermont Center for Emerging Technologies.
Yep.
And his office is a hoot. I mean, he uses doors for tables and isn't it? I'm sure you've been. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, they have right now. I'm not sure what it used to be, but now they have this innovation hub there, where they have entrepreneurs, they have founders, they have people working in software, etc. That they have their own little desks all over in this one big building down in Burlington.
Right.
It's right on Main Street. It's a really cool building. If anybody who's interested in tech, I always recommend go down to VSET, get yourself a little flex desk. They have a kitchen there. They have a lot of office space. So people can go there and be able to like rent it out per month. And
he used to work for state government, which is how I knew him first.
Yeah.
And then he started this center. And when I came here, I had him come down, and we actually took a camera down and videotaped it in the office because it was just so funky.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, isn't he?
I helped them run their podcast there for the Start Here podcast, where they interview founders and whatnot.
Excellent.
On camera. So I'm the guy behind the camera, do the editing, but I also get to listen in on what goes on in the startup world and learn about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, very creative mind. He's one of my favorite people in this state.
Me too.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. So anyway, so you announced you're running. I have the date here, April 9th.
Yep, that's correct.
And you were on the Kurt Wright radio show. We love Kurt. I'm so glad he's back.
Yeah.
I think he's glad he's back too.
Yeah,
it gets in your blood a little bit. So.
Well, I go on air there, and I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what we would be talking about exactly. I was just like, sure, I'll come on and do my announcement there. Jim Douglas is coming on at 7. I got there before him at 6:30. I always like to say that. And you
took a picture with him. I saw that.
That's what blew up my Facebook. I mean, it's at it says on there on Facebook it's at like 430 likes, but on my side it shows it's at like 700 likes.
Great.
And, over 20,000 views. I mean, in a week it was just quickly up to that.
Excellent. Well, Jim has that effect on people.
Yeah, he sure does. He sure does.
He's a great guy. He has a memory that'll scare you. He and Governor Snelling, who I worked for, they will remember meeting you, remember the names of if you have children, anything. They just remember.
Yeah.
I have trouble with yesterday, but they remember 10, 20 years ago. It's just fascinating.
It is.
Yeah, because he was the historian for the Masons. And he can talk about that like forever.
He came to my launch party and spoke. Actually.
Oh, did he really?
He was my featured speaker, and I never knew I knew, but I didn't know, like, whenever you give him a microphone, he's going to hit it out the park. He knows exactly how to say it, when to say it, and
if you watch him, he stands for pictures while he's talking to you. He knows where to say, what's his good side. I mean, I love
he knows
watching.
How to walk the room.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, blah, blah, blah. My hands are all over the place. And
I think when you're a governor for that long, I think you learn pretty quick how to pick that up.
Exactly. He's so cool. So there's a list here of the things that you've attended, the Jericho Community Center, and you and I met at the Kentucky Derby event, which I thought I haven't had a hat on in 20 years maybe.
I didn't win any money there in that.
No, I didn't either. They had some good prizes though, and good food.
Yes.
Oof.
Yes.
That was good. Anyway, so my question is, when you're out and you've got to introduce yourself to the crowd, you've got a minute to speak, what is your stump speech?
Yeah, my elevator pitch.
Yes, exactly. What is that? Could you give it to us? I'll be quiet for a moment.
Let's see. Well, I'm very spontaneous, as you can tell. I usually don't have a great elevator pitch, but it would kind of go like this. It's like, my name's Javen Sears. I'm running for Vermont State Senate in the Chittenden Southeast district. I'm going to be one of the youngest candidates to run in one of the biggest districts. I'm actually the only candidate who's a born and raised Vermonter who's running for this. But I really think is that what we really need in the state of Vermont is that we need opportunity, and we also need to revive our economy, I believe, because Vermont, we are now decreasing in population. Vermont has the youngest percentage of young people here, 17% under 18, and it's making it harder and harder for people like me or my friends who have mostly moved away to be able to live here and stay here, or even want to, because if you look at other states, even like New Hampshire, for example, no income tax, they have double the size of the economy, even triple. I think I forget exactly our GDP number, but they're in $126 billion. I think we're like in between 30 and 40 billion dollars. And it's like we're a mirrored state, in size. And it's just, I think Vermont has so much potential that we haven't really tapped into yet. And I would just love for there to be that. For young people to not only live here, but also people who are working today, who have families, who get to come here and move in and actually be able to afford to live here. And right now we have an affordability crisis where, this is what I'm talking about, my spontaneous side, is that we have an affordability crisis where, everybody's assets values for property are going through the roof. That's kind of our number one issue in South Burlington is, in the last 5 years, we've seen 40% increases in property taxes. And, people can't afford that. And I really support, the governor being able to buy that down to 3% rather than what, some people wanted, which was 14 or 7.
Can you imagine that when that was going around there last year? My husband and I were considering, as are many of my friends, moving.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do this. We're retired. You know?
And so I'm, I'm one of the only young people that are really saying I want to stick it out and I want to actually try to bring change to the state so I can be able to live here.
Have you met the 14-year-old who's running?
Dean Roy. I've not been able to meet Dean Roy yet, but we've seen him everywhere.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
I don't know, what party is he running under?
He had to make a new party, I believe, because he was not able to run under a major party at that age.
Oh.
So he had to form a new one. I don't know what the name of it was. I forget exactly. I don't want to.
I have to check that out.
But he seems like a very nice kid. I don't know where he's from, what town. But I'm glad to see that young people are standing up for the issues. Now I have people come at me. I'm like, you're not the only one. I'm like, darn, I was too late. So I should have ran 2 years ago.
There was a guy years ago. He was the youngest legislator, Doran Metzner, and then he went into the service, so he left. But he was. Young. And we all just sort of adopted him because I was in the legislature then. And everybody adopted him. It's kind of cute. So you don't know what's going to happen.
No, you never do. You never do.
They take you under their wing. But so for you, what are the top 5 priorities?
Sure.
You got them in your head.
I got them in my head.
Yeah.
This is why I had to do debate.
Yeah.
I think number one is I really do believe that we have to balance our legislator in Vermont because right now it's still very much imbalanced, and we've obviously seen that with the supermajority that happened in. Oh,
you're talking party or
just the legislator?
Male, female, or
no, balance our legislator when it comes to the party and representation between that, because right now I think the Vermont, because I'm running for the Vermont Republican Party, and that the fact is that a lot of those issues aren't hitting the boards when it comes to our legislator. For people that know how our legislator works, it's the people who are the chairs of certain committees, and when you don't have a lot of representation for your party, a lot of the things that are being spoken about that are I think people are talking about limiting government and limiting taxes and trying to allow for businesses to thrive here, and just very common sense things aren't hitting the boards when it comes into those committees. So they never get talked about, and they just kind of like flies on the wall, and it's so unfortunate because this is things that impact every single day Vermonters, and especially people who are coming up through the ranks or are just working a job and trying to get by. It's really hard. So if those things don't end up that I think believe the Republicans have been the best at is talking about affordability and really standing for it, and it shows. If that doesn't really, I don't think if they get that representation, it's going to be really tricky, I think, for people in Vermont. So that's my number one thing is we got to balance our legislator. And I really do support Phil Scott in that effort, and I think my constituent Bruce Roy, who I'm running alongside, he talks about that even better than I. But number 2 is I think we do need to, number one issue in South Burlington and also in my district of Williston, Shelburne, Charlotte, we have we have 10 towns in my area, is the property tax issue of trying to allow that relief to be there, because obviously that's tied into our education funding. And what we're seeing now, as I mentioned earlier, is we're seeing a 40% increase in the last 5 years in property taxes. People can't be able to afford that. Even if their asset values goes up. We were just door knocking yesterday, and we ran into this lady who owns this home, and it used to be around $300,000 valuation. Now it's at almost $450,000 valuation. And she said, because of that, my property taxes, I'm paying an extra couple $1,000s now per month or per year to be able to, try to afford it. But I'm not seeing that in my income. Just because some of the assets values go up doesn't mean they're able to afford the value of it. So that's become really tricky, and so that's my second thing. My third thing would be, I think we do have to reform our education system. And, I'm not sure if it's talked about enough, but it gets briefly mentioned, is like this school specialization, I like to call it. It's where, I think that this school, it kind of goes hand in hand with school consolidation, where people are really worried about, we're going from 119 school districts, which is just, if I could talk about this for a minute.
Yeah, no, please. It's one of my favorite topics, so go right ahead.
Me too. 119 school districts. Compared to let's look at a state like Florida. They have 52 school districts, or 54, and they have $11,000 per kid they're paying, and we're paying $28,000 a kid. And I don't even know how many millions more people they have than us. But our people here, we have dropped from 105,000 in early 2000s of K through 12 numbers to now $74,000, almost a 25% decrease. And if you look across the country, I read a stat that in the last 20 years, we've lost 900,000 kids in public school, and we've gained 700,000 in staff. And I really think that the education reform, when it comes to going back to the school specialization, and the school consolidation, to really kind of blend those together, is the fact that allowing schools to be able to, let's say my area, Chittenden County, for example. We have Winooski High School, we have South Burlington, and we have Burlington. I know this is a future question, but what are one of the solutions that I think we could do is the fact that, what if instead of our schools being so bloated and huge, and they're trying to encompass every single thing in every single department, because you're trying to serve the kids in your community, but in a place like where I'm at, everything's really right down the road. It's not really too far away. It's not, people aren't driving an hour to go to school. And what if, for example, a place like South Burlington could, they have a really good STEM program there. I took calculus there. I took AP physics. I mean, I had some really tough classes, but they're great teachers there. And then what if Burlington was more like humanities, and then and then Winooski could be, X, Y, and Z. I don't know. I'm not trying to say what it could be. Just an example. But it would allow for, well, what does that mean? Well, you could cut a lot of different things because those resources don't necessarily need to be there. And I think that you could still do that. So then we're not paying, for example, in South Burlington, a $73.9 million school budget that is, people vote on to keep going up and every year, and trying to see what are the outcomes of such and such. It's kind of really hard to tell. So I think if we need to be able to somehow very creatively be able to allow for this, decoupling aspect to education, where we're not, paying $28,000 a kid and not seeing greater numbers in education that people want to stay. So, and also alongside my platform, I believe is also the opportunity for families to be able to have the money to be able to choose where they want to go to school. School choice. I'm really, I think, a big advocate of that, and a lot of people aren't, and I totally accept that. But the fact is, it's if you want to be able to go to a different school, I feel like you should be able to do so easily. Much easier than what it is today. I think that was 3. So,
I think, yes, go ahead.
My number 4 thing, I'm going to skip one real quick, but I'm going to go to, I think we just need, this kind of ties into the education, we just need better outcomes.
Amen to that.
We need better outcomes. And I think when it comes to government and government policies, because I'm new to this, I'm 2 months in, like you said, I announced I was running on April 9th. I think it was actually April 8th. It was, and you're right. No, it was kind of April 9th. Anyways, it's the fact that, when we put in policies or we put in bills that go into the legislator, this is the job that I'm applying to, they have to at least, we can say long term, maybe not necessarily, and for the short term, is how is this going to actually impact X, Y, and Z actors in this frame to be able to say this is going to be a good solution. And right now, we haven't had a lot of great solutions for a lot of programs all across government. And we can see that with education of where we kind of gotten to. Outcomes-based policy, I think, is really, really important that we really need to focus on. Lastly, number 5. Now it's just skipping my head. I think I'm going to remember this in about a few minutes or so. But I'll get back to you on that. But I think those things are really main part of my platform, and just limited government too. You know, we're getting extremely large, and it's getting harder and harder to see where our government programs are really going.
I've been with Campaign for Vermont for, and I don't know if you read any of our stuff, but it's sort of a nonpartisan political, and we submitted a proposal about education and about centering. We have 14 tech centers, and we thought that all of the schools, the districts should be centered around a tech center. And then the funding issue would be taken care of. And that the principals would want to send kids to the tech center who want to go. Sometimes that's held back because they lose the money. And and from a performance perspective, we have fallen dramatically where we were top 5 down to who knows what.
One of the worst in education in the country, you know.
And so while they're messing around with with consolidation and saving money, which is a good thing, they also better focus on performance, because you remember the old, maybe you don't, reading, writing, and arithmetic. When I went to school, that was it. And we are now 40, 50, 60% in those 3 areas, way down where we should be with the money we're spending.
I can definitely speak from experience going to South Burlington High School. We were one of the first classes. I'm not sure if this was related to the entire Vermont education system, but we had this thing called proficiency-based learning, where we were graded on 1 through 4 of scales and certain different things. So we were actually a hybrid version, the 2020 class, where we still had A through F grading, but 50% was also based on the proficiencies. And that kind of ties into, we do have really high graduation rates, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're learning the good stuff that people can go and, get into, jobs or trades. Like, the kids aren't learning really trades in schools these days, and they have to go elsewhere to go to a tech center to be able to learn it, or at home. And even people, I would say, in like the tech field, like people who are learning software engineering, a lot of this stuff has to do with what you're learning also at home, and how much of a self-learner are you? And so I think that's also something we really need to have focus on, is that people can learn online, people can learn in different parts of the community,
and they learn different ways too.
And they learn different, visual, audio.
I'm a hands-on person, sitting in a 300-person studio, an auditorium with a teacher. Over my head.
It's like me campaigning. I need to go and talk with people and go, because I can't just sit back and just go to it. I need to talk with people because I want to hear the issues.
Years ago, I knew a former head of the VTC, and he told me that when kids graduate from high school, they are months behind where they should be when they go to tech center. So he has to spend the first 3-4 months getting them up to speed when he could be teaching them what tech center is all about.
And that's a lot
sad.
of resources and time.
It's sad when you look at it. Well, and maybe they could do it even shorter than 2 years. If you don't have to spend the first 6 months bringing kids up to speed.
And this is common sense. This is like efficiency. Outcomes. And I think that's a crucial thing.
So I'm going to kind of get your feedback here. We've talked about education, housing. That's a toughie.
That's a tough one.
And I don't know what the answer is to that, except I like tiny homes myself, but that's, I think they're so cool.
Well, they used to back in the day build these single family homes were much smaller than what the single family homes are today.
Yeah, you don't really need all that maybe a little more land.
And it's a starter home, you know,
Yeah,
when
right.
you're maybe high 20s, mid 20s,
Yeah.
or early 30s. You know, it's the first
Get
kind
you
of
started, you're right.
exactly, and we don't have a lot of those here.
Yep.
You know, right now it's like, you know, renting, where we're building a lot of, you know, affordable housing in that sense, where, you know, especially in my area where we're, you know, even a lot of low income housing too, which is good.
Right.
And, you know, but at the same time, when you're building a lot of this kind of housing too, you're forcing people into renting. You know, the renting is also starting to go through the roof. I mean, people at UVM, if you're living in Burlington, I mean, I can tell you it's around $1,800 a month, you know, to try to be able to live.
Ooh.
That's a common number for people, even in
Really?
college. Their parents have to pay, obviously.
I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous.
It is. And how
You
are
have
you
to
going to
eat
save
and
up?
live. I mean, you know, especially if you're young, you want to go do things and travel, and you can't go
All
anywhere.
that expenses, and then
Yeah.
you got to pay tuition, and then you got to pay, you know,
Wow.
go to grocery stores. You got to pay your car,
Right.
you know, inspections all the time. Where you know you might have a little dink, and no,
Yeah.
that's $600 expense.
Yep.
Most states don't even have that as you don't even have to get your car
Inspected. Yeah, they were
inspected.
talking about that, but it went away this year. I don't know what happened to it.
I know. Maybe
They
I
were
should-
talking about.
I got to talk about that more.
Yeah, really. Well, you know, you're under warranty from your new car,
Yeah.
if you have a new car. But anyway, who knows? Housing. Obviously, there's a big movement in Burlington.
Yeah.
Our former mayor in Burlington is got this group
Let's
of
Build
people.
Homes.
Yeah, that's really, they've got some great people on that board.
Yep.
I'm hoping they come up with something. Catherine Dimitri, who is head of the, I don't know what it's the Planning Commission up in the Northeast Kingdom. And she told me, she was on the show, and I've known her for years, and she told me that now most apartments are for single people. It's not couples or small families.
Yeah.
It's mostly single people who want to be on their own and experience life, and there's no place for them to go.
Like studios,
Yeah,
for
well,
example.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yep, right,
yeah,
I know.
exactly. I have a lot of friends who actually even, you know, seniors, juniors at
Yeah.
UVM that are in that same boat.
Yeah, and even like modular homes. I know a couple of people who are in that business, and they're fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to, and we've got land in this place, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think the framing of like what is the goal of what we want for housing, I
Right.
think everyone wants to be able to buy a home.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants to be able to afford, you know, have land, have property, and I think we don't want to forget about that.
And of course, we could talk about Act 250 for the next hour too.
Yeah, Act 181 and everything.
Oh, that is a nightmare. I don't understand that. Fortunately, they've been listening to people because they are starting to weigh in on Act 181.
Oh, it's about time.
Yeah, really, it's terrible. Well, they backed off on the road rule and on
Tier
a couple
3.
of, yeah.
Yep.
So they do listen if you do it in numbers, you know, just go. Then anyway, the other ones I want to talk about, workforce.
Yeah.
There's a new person on the governor's staff who is in charge of looking at workforce separate or in conjunction with the Department of Labor, but they've sort of split up the responsibilities. Department of Labor is really just focused on the federal WIA.
It's separate?
It's separate but together.
Okay.
They're required to work together. There's a bunch of different groups that were formed in this legislation, and
This was recent?
yeah, last year,
Oh, okay.
during the time, and we haven't heard much about it. But I would like to find out how they're doing because it's a great place to live. I mean, you've got to make it affordable. Every time you turn around, you're in some kind of calendar picture. So, and there's lots of sports here that young people would like.
Yeah.
And they've got to do something. I don't know what.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. And I think once we start be able to, you know, really save a lot of money in different things, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, you said the magic word.
saving money. I know. People.
Maybe
it's a-
not spending. What is?
But we can eventually get to that place where we have a lot of more entertainment opportunities here. You know,
Yep.
especially that's very attractive for people to want to come. You know, in places like Higher Ground or places like X, Y, and Z all across the
Right.
state. You know, even like events like I love going to the Champlain Valley Fair. Like who doesn't love going
Isn't
to the
that cool?
Champlain?
Yeah.
I gotta shout out these places in my district because I know this is Montpelier, so I like to take people over there, things like that make people excited and make people actually want to stay here.
Yep.
If you look at other states, they have so much going on all the time. That's
Right,
really inclusive,
right.
nonpartisan, just like right for Vermont, where you can actually, you know, be able to say, this is fun. I want to bring my family here. I want to have kids,
Yep.
and I want to be able to grow up and live here.
Well, I know a family who was brought up here. They left to go to school, and then they met, and then when they started having kids, they wanted to come back for their children to experience the.
I have a great stat for you.
Oh, well, but given the schooling situation, they're not so happy they made that choice now, which is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So what's
if you
your
don't
story?
know, actually, people in the state of Vermont, college, we have a retention rate, or I should say, people leaving the state
Yep.
as 57%. It's one of the highest percentages. So, 50% of people that come to, college here ended up not
staying.
Yeah,
I didn't know that number because I used to fight all the time with focusing on the colleges and getting the graduates interested in Vermont.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize there were that many that left.
Well, I remember that stat because the average age of our legislator is also 57. So that's the only way I remember it. I'm 24.
Yeah, right. Well, you'll help to get it down a little bit.
That's what they like to say.
Yeah, right. I helped on the other end, but there you go. Well, something's got to be done because we used to have people working. Now, restaurants, they're all like closing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because they don't have staff.
Or they're decreasing their hours, 10 to 4 instead of like 8 to 6. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad. Okay, I'm moving my list here. Healthcare and mental health.
Mental health is big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, what we're seeing a lot through, especially with the young people culture coming up, we have an environment. I like to always talk about what's impacting me, especially, is because we're coming through and we're like a lot of my generation is going to have to stay here and live with it. And I can definitely tell you a lot of these people, it's been difficult because social media that has been, TikTok, Instagram Reels,
right.
or, constant YouTube, right. Netflix, all this stuff. When there's still some good resources in there, there's some good things you can learn. I think, you could use all these platforms for education in a lot of ways. But a lot of the times we like to call it is, what's the term? Oh my gosh, I always forget it. It's a term where these, we have this term, brain rot.
I understand that.
It's another term for, it's the re-term for young people off of the word brain drain.
Right, brain rot. That sounds very attractive.
And you get a lot of this content where it's you can go down rabbit holes, really quickly. And I'm not saying we need to cut down on that. We're not in like China or something.
Right.
But at least we need to be able to say, like, this is a mental health crisis that we have going on in our state, and I do believe we do. Not only our state, in our country, just in general, across the world. Yeah,
people are so angry. It's scary.
Yeah, and you can find a lot of these pockets in so many different things. And I was really blessed to have a really good household where, my family and I, and also people in my community that I really got to learn from, were able to teach me a lot of really good values and, stick to this, stick to the bottom line of things and, teaching me great values.
Good for them. Good for you.
And we haven't got to talk about that much. I'm sure it's coming up, but I also coach youth football. And so the people who've been running that for the last 60 years, it's been a great time.
That's great. It's good to see kids involved, and then the parents come and see. And I went to see my grandsons one time and yelling, and he said, "Grandma." He was so embarrassed because who did he hear from the crowd screaming, "Yay!" was his grandmother.
He was embarrassed.
He was. I said, "Oh, geez." But anyway, that's. I think sports is fabulous.
Sports is like one of the last things we have where people can come together.
Yep. Right. That's a sad statement, but true.
It is. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So on my little list, we have enforcement and safety, and you were mentioning mental health, and for a long while there, I think they've addressed it somewhat by helping the police with bringing in human services people with them when they're in a situation dealing with somebody with mental health, because they were asking police for the longest time to do stuff they didn't get trained to do, dealing with somebody who is having a meltdown or whatever. And now they're sort of trying to give the police support by sending people with them who could help diffuse the situation.
Yeah, and that's really important because their main job is to protect, the citizens and the people of this country.
Right.
And the easier that they can be able to do that job, I think we need to be able to, allow them to that space and opportunity. And if they're more educated on it, I think that's a great thing. Yeah. And we have a lot of crises here.
Yes, we do.
We sure do. And the better that we can make, I think, law enforcement to to be able to obviously do the right things
Right.
and do their jobs the best that they can, because they do not have an easy job.
No, they don't. And I don't think people realize they're making truly split-second
split-second
Thank you.
decisions.
Couldn't say that. And, you know, sometimes they get it wrong, and that's bad, but
Yeah.
they do try.
And I think they, you know, I know a lot of them, and you know, in my community, and they're great people. They're some
Yeah,
of the nicest
right.
people I've ever met,
Yeah.
and they really do care about their community, and that's why they do their job.
Yep,
I mean, it's not
for sure.
the most popular thing in the world. It's one of the hardest things in the world, and you know, they are the people that get up every single day and they look forward to doing it, and,
Yep.
and they just want to try to do their best and just ignore the noise and just keep on moving
There
forward.
used to be, if you're in trouble, go find a policeman. When we were growing up,
Or a firefighter, you
yeah,
know,
right,
like
exactly.
all that, you know?
All the public safety people.
Yeah.
They're great.
They are.
Yeah, so you've kind of gone through my list, except cost of living, which we already talked about. I just wanted to say one thing about education, which you may want to think about. We have not done teachers any service by keep changing the way they should teach, whether it comes from
In what way?
the federal government or us here in Vermont. We come, you know,
Letting- 'cause the
no
states
child
now-
left behind. All of these different things that are going to save the world and the kids, and so they have to go through this whole learning cycle, change everything around, and then we come up with something else a couple of years later. We never give it time to work.
Yeah.
And I think if I was a teacher, I'd be going, good Lord, leave me alone. I mean, let me teach. And I don't know that we give them all the support they should have.
And things are like, especially in the tech space, if we want to go back to that too, is like things are progressing in the business world and the tech world, and opportunities when people get out of, you know, high school and college, where they could find opportunities. I think we need to be teaching things that are outcomes based for when they get out. They are more prepared. They're more, you know, they're more educated on what's actually going on in the real world. You know, you're bringing in people who are actually running businesses or, you know, working in these jobs, because it's a lot different. I hear all the time, it's so much different when I was in school compared to when you get really into the real world. A lot of these things you're not learning in school.
Exactly.
And
think
it's
AI.
Oh yeah,
and
and things like that. And
Yeah.
I think we really need to be teaching the tools, you know, the basic fundamentals in school and education.
Couldn't agree more. And you mentioned COVID. I think our teachers should be thankful, because teaching by Zoom is like another whole skill that none of them were taught in. They just said, here, teach your kids. And that's a skill you have to learn.
Yeah, because they're used to the one-on-one, you know, visual feedback, and also just interpersonal. Because now you got 50 kids on a Zoom call. Like, how are you gonna know that kid is paying attention? He can turn off his screen, or he could freeze the screen. You know, there's so many things you can do.
I give them a lot of credit for even trying.
And now we have AI too. Like, now we have AI, where you can just look up an answer to the question in 5 seconds.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, I did a contest one time for an organization, and it was name this tune, and people were using their cell phones. I didn't know you could do that. There were a lot of winners, and I'm thinking, how did they do this?
See,
somebody told me that they looked in their phone.
This is what people have to know about me, is because when I did debate, when we go to a tournament, we're not allowed any electronics.
There you go.
We're not allowed any so when we go to a room, I love to tell people this, is like, for our debate tournaments, we could get any topic, they never tell us exactly what. We walk into an auditorium, all these people, and you get 15 minutes once they show you the question, what they call a motion in the debate world.
Yeah.
You have 15 minutes, you and your partner, no electronics, to then go walk into the room against your 4 other opponents and have to debate on the topic from memory.
Good grief, bless you.
And I wish school was. We could teach like that a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I couldn't. It took me a good year to get used to working on Zoom.
Yeah.
Almost everything I do now is by Zoom.
Zoom? Really?
And the organizations I'm involved in and the nonprofits, and they all do it by Zoom.
Yeah.
And it took a while to get the flow of things.
Because communication, it's so quicker too. I mean, there's so much that goes by.
When we do this show and we use Zoom, it's very hard to control. If I have more than 1 or 2, after that I'm like, whoa, because you can't. Everybody's talking over each other.
Yeah.
And that's very hard.
Oh.
You know, but I don't know how those teachers did it, so thank you.
Yeah, I work with a lot of young people, so it's talking over people. We have to keep emphasizing that all the time.
Well, but they have to.
have to learn.
I do. I'm bad at that. I interrupt a lot. So, Have you, but your website, do you have position papers up?
Yeah,
If you don't, are you going to do that?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to actually make some flyers that do have some of those things. I like to keep that on my website if anyone wants to visit. It's javensears.com.
Excellent.
I believe /issues, actually.
Oh,
if you want to go directly to the page, you'll see all the different.
Because people actually, they like the palm card, and are they still doing all of that?
Oh yeah, we're still doing all that.
Still
the palm cards, the flyers, the I wish we don't have any billboards, but I would just love a huge sign.
Thank you, Howard Dean.
No, I'm glad we don't have billboards.
Oh yeah,
but
I am too.
I have yard signs. There's so much expenses that go into campaigning.
Great.
It's been such a crazy 2 months of everything.
Now, you were just mentioning a whole bunch of towns. What are the towns?
Yeah. It's I live in South Burlington. We have Williston. We have southern end of Burlington. We have Shelburne. We have Charlotte. We have Jericho, Underhill, Bolton, St. George, and I believe
in your district.
It's just in my district.
How many people are
60,000.
No, but how many senators can be?
Oh, 3-seat district. It's a 3-seat district.
And how many people are in there?
58,000 to be exact with you.
Wow, that seems to be more than most. I think
it's probably second to, I believe, Chittenden Central, which might have a little bit more because Burlington's like, they have a lot of people, 40,000 probably there on their own.
And you're door knocking?
Door knocking.
Should have started in December.
Ads. Yeah, I know. I know. Luckily, we have a lot of good volunteers that are really helping us out. Especially,
And soon, lots of parades.
Yeah, we have the July. Oh, there's so much. I could talk about so many exciting things coming up.
Yeah, there's a couple of I just always wanted to be in just because.
If anyone wants
the
to be
heifer run down in there.
I'm not sure when this comes out exactly, but July 4th, I'm doing the Williston Parade.
Perfect.
So if anyone wants to be part of that and kind of join my campaign and what we're doing for our float, we're starting on that right now. So.
Excellent. Yeah, you got to think about these things.
Oh, I know.
It's a lot of work.
Well, especially considering the area that I'm running for, I got to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, you do. That's a
I'm probably running in one of the hardest districts to run.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just staggering that you have that many towns. It's almost kind of ridiculous.
I think I have the most square miles of space. Yeah. It goes really, going to Burlington all the way to Jericho.
All I had was part of Barry City and Berlin. And you could you could
walk right there, yeah.
Pretty much. I did most. I met everybody when I ran. A friend of mine who was down in Rutland, she goes the odd years and knocks on the doors.
Yeah.
And she was there for a long time before she stepped down because it's a lot less pressure and you have time to talk because they invite you in for coffee and I'm for that. And you're the person that's helping you have to come on.
Well, I'll tell you a quick stat of how many people I got to reach is, I have 115, 120 days or something like that to go. And if we spent 60 of those days going door knocking, trying to hit like 100 homes a day, I mean, we're still falling short of trying to meet everybody. So, we're going to try our best. And,
but they know you're out there, just so you know.
Yeah.
They do. They watch. They know you're working hard.
Yeah.
They know who's working and who isn't. And I think the businesses are important to hit too. Yeah. Because they're the ones who get impacted most by what we pull off in Montpelier.
That is true.
But anyway, so you've got 3 senators. Yep. How many House?
Yeah, it's a little confusing because the House doesn't reflect the Chittenden Southeast district of the state Senate. There's Chittenden 8, there's Chittenden 9, 10, 11, and 12.
They broke up the cabal,
I don't think it doesn't perfectly align actually with related to that. So we're in a very unique situation. Obviously, they 2020 or 2022 they reformed redistricted the line. So instead of this whole Chittenden County,
that made so much sense. They call them the cabal.
Yeah, and it was 6 people that got in. And usually
working together.
Yeah.
I think it's better to have one person, one area. It just, or 2, makes more sense. You know who to go to.
Yep.
But they were a pretty strong group.
Still is today.
I know. When they get together, it's like, oh no. So anyway, just out of curiosity, have you given any thought to what committees you'd like to be?
Yeah. The economic development.
Perfect.
I think government rules actually, which is really interesting. But I also say the education committee. So those are kind of my 3 that I would.
Well, LCAR is a separate, isn't it? It's not considered a committee?
Which one?
A legislative, LCAR, legislative committee. on rules?
Oh, yeah,
That's-
it's just rules. I
It's
know
just- it's just
it's a
rules?
little worded differently, I believe, for the House, but for the Senate, it's just rules.
Oh, okay, because when we were working in state government, you had to go to LCAR, and it was like, oh. So no, not that, please.
I'm not sure exactly what it is on the
Yeah,
House, though.
it's a good committee, and you're making the rules.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's very, I won't say who, but there was a Speaker of the House who always asked a couple of us that worked in state government were in the legislature to look at bills. And I said, I'm not voting for this. And they'd say, that's okay. Just tell me, would it work? Because sometimes they would pass bills that
Didn't make.
can't do it. That's
Yeah.
not the way it operates. And, that always caused a little problem. So I started volunteering and say, I know I'm not going to vote for this, but could you at least make it so that we could do it?
Right.
And they don't think about stuff like that. So that was I enjoyed that because you were making a difference, even though people hated the bill, but there you go.
Oh, that happens a lot.
All right.
That's my job to make it more attractive.
There you go. So I read an article about you
Yeah.
that you believe, well, I like this, strong communities, responsible leadership, and thoughtful public policies. And I thought, you can't lose with those three things.
I agree.
Yeah, and strong communities. I mean, how would you get people interested and going? Do you know, like,
Yeah.
I was in the Department of Ed I was a deputy, and I started going. I didn't have any kids in school. I started going to school board meetings. Nobody goes.
I know.
There's nobody there.
And this is what where our country, and especially Vermont, was really known for is going to these town halls, going to the community events,
Right.
where there's a lot of debate going on, but there's also just what's going on in the town.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that doesn't really exist too much.
Nope.
No, and when
Until they start digging up your front lawn, and you're like, "What's that?"
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So on the community side, I was mentioning earlier, I help run a nonprofit, and I think nonprofits actually play a really huge role in communities. So I'm a big advocate for that. So running a nonprofit, I'm a vice president for a youth football program, youth
cool.
development organization that's been around for 60 years now.
Nice.
We started football in 1967 actually, and this is our 60th anniversary. And
Great.
And it's been great ever since. So I joined about a few years ago, and so we kind of just help young people try to become successful and become the best that they can be, not just in sports, but just also in the game of life too, on and off the field. And that was related to just really good, strong values and being an independent thinker, being personally responsible for your actions and holding accountability. Our mantra is personal responsibility for individual daily efforts. You got to work hard. And I think you do have to have really, you got to work hard. Because if you don't work hard, you're not going to succeed. Yep. And, that's also something related to, outside of government control. When you get out into the real world, it's like finding those opportunities. You have to, go out there and do it. And that's sometimes can be a very intimidating and scary thing. But now as I've gotten older, I'm entering the workforce. I'm really starting to see like my hard work and my values really show up really well on an application. And, we mentor kids, we have them, 5 days a week, coaching youth football 2 hours a day, and also Saturday games,
Wow, great.
We're from early August to all the way up to November if we want to win a championship, which we won 13 out of our 26 that we've been part of.
Who are you playing against? Similar nonprofits from other?
Yep, the other towns. It's actually not even school related. It's a private, organization.
We have one. There's one in Barrie, I think.
Yeah,
it's a separate entity.
Yep. We compete against 17 teams in our league,
cool.
And it's kind of all over across Vermont. It's called the National Northern Vermont Youth Football League.
Yep, youth football.
Yep. So really good teams, and we compete. We don't have to go further. We don't go further than an hour. The furthest we have to go is to Castleton from South Burlington.
There you go.
And they're really good. Yeah. They're a pretty good team. I'll give them credit for that. But great staff.
And what age group is that? I should know this, but
so we have 3 different age groups actually for our program. I actually head coach the 5th and 6th grade team. I just started my last year. Last year I started doing that. But we also have a 7th and 8th grade varsity team, and we also have a K through 4 flag football team.
Nice. Oh, right.
So we do flag, and then 5th and 6th is our actual intro to tackle, which is very like quick whistle stuff, and you're kind of learning the basics of the safety of how to tackle, the basic fundamentals.
Great.
So when you get into 7th and 8th grade year, you could turn that on a little bit more, where you're going a little bit more full speed, and it's very safe though, very very safe environment.
Fifth and sixth grade are my favorite.
They're very interesting.
Well, they're at an age where they still have a little respect, and I'm sure it sounds like you're teaching them respect, which is good. And then you can talk to them sort of like adults, and I think it's a great age.
And I have a great staff. We have over 13 coaches that are helping out in this program, and the fact is we've had over 3,000 kids come play for the Dolphins. Some people are.
I have heard of the Dolphins.
Yeah, the South Burlington Dolphins. That's where it started. It used to actually be named the South Burlington Packers, named after Vince Lombardi, but since changed that in 1972, and then tackle football started in '74, the official team. So, after Don Shula. So
I know them. Oh my God, how old am I?
Yeah.
I know these people.
He actually used to give us stuff, Don Shula himself.
Really?
We have stuff we have a beautiful office. We have a complex. We have a weight room. We have a locker room. We have equipment rooms.
Super.
Snack room too. It's a beautiful place, and most teams don't have.
Yeah, I would think not. That's great.
I know.
Good for you.
No, it's a great opportunity. And really good people. So.
I used to tell my grandson when they were in school, the more you learn, the more opportunities you have. And after all, they're, we know, Grandma. But it's true.
No, it couldn't be further.
Yeah.
It could not be further. And we need more people who are advocating for that and talking about that in the community, I think. It should be part of our culture, I think.
Good answer. That's a great one. No, I just, kids just need to, I don't know how they grasp how big this is. What their future. I mean, they could go anywhere. And they need to
I wish I could grasp how big what I'm doing is now. I don't know.
That's the biggie.
what I'm getting involved in, trying to help fix Vermont, the state that I'm from and I live in, and I want to stay here and be able to live. And I'm running against some very strong incumbents who've been there for quite a long time. One of my we have a professor at UVM, Tom Chittenden actually. He's one of the guys running against. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and so it's going to be a very interesting, very competitive race.
There's a lot of them not running this year. I think this is one of the biggest exits we've had.
I guess I picked a good time.
Yeah, you did. It's great.
Yeah,
that's good. So I think, I'm looking at the clock here. And the end it.
We've talked about a lot. I think.
Yes, we did.
We've done a good job.
You're a good guest. And I have a couple.
I'm going to look at the views of this thing.
Just take the mic and just go for it.
No, that's what I like to say. Give me a microphone, and
so we're going to end because you got about 6 minutes here. But two things. Why?
Yeah.
The question why, isn't that the standard? Why are you doing this?
Yeah. Is that one thing?
That's one thing. The other one is when people how would people reach you? And, always be. Sometimes the legislators are not good at getting back to people. And if I hear one complaint of the legislature is they do not respond, and they should, because you are there to represent them. People.
Yep, exactly.
So just remember that.
It's good advice.
Because people get really, and they don't keep quiet about it either out in the public. So that's not good. Anyway,
good
why?
to know. I'm running because I want to help save my state, and I really do believe that the state of Vermont is becoming a harder and harder place for people to be able to just live and people to be able to find opportunities and live the life that they've always wanted to. The American dream. Just be able to afford a home, work a hard, nice job, and have kids grow up in a good community. Really common sense things, and those opportunities are just going faster and faster the wrong way. And I want to just be able to, I really wanted to run because it also allowed me an opportunity to stay here in my community and represent it in a good way as somebody also that works in my community. But just, I feel like where government is going in Vermont, I think we need to align ourselves with also what Phil Scott has been doing, trying to attack the affordability crisis in Vermont. And I really want to support that effort, and I want to just support Vermonters and people, and also not forget about the people who've left Vermont, because there's many more people who have left Vermont that we forget about, and we got to listen to those people as well.
Yeah, why they leave?
Why did they leave? Because right now we are now decreasing in population officially after the mid-census reports came out, and that just goes to show of what are we doing wrong in our state and what can we be doing right. And I think a lot of the things that I'm talking about are the things that we should be doing and going in the right direction. No pun intended, but well, kind of. But I like to just say, we need common common sense things here
Right.
in Vermont. And I really do, I want to be able to stay here. I've said this 5 million times.
Yeah.
But I really do. I mean, I could have gone to like a place like Florida or Texas or, X, Y, and Z all across the country, and thousands of people do. But we need to have a reason to stay. We need to get people a reason to stay here. And I just looked at that. I was like, it's a challenge. It's tough. And it sounds kind of fun. It sounds like a lot of good value that could be there. So that's kind of what I wanted, why I'm running. And now I still have to find a job. I still have to do all that.
So you're going to try to work and do the legislature.
Well, we don't make enough money to be able to survive on our own.
Well, and they're supposed to be closed Mondays, and you're supposed to be able to leave at noon on Friday, which very rarely works.
And correct me if I'm wrong, New Hampshire, they don't even pay anybody.
Oh, I think they get $100.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, because you have to.
That'll do it.
Yeah. I'm not advocating for that.
No.
But
that's dedication. Of course, then they have people who don't need the money, and so you lose out on hearing from a whole group of people.
That's right. But speaking of need, for the second part of your question that I want to end it on, it's like, what do I also need for my campaign, for people that are out there listening, and also how do they reach me? I think we need as much volunteers as we can get. People who are interested in doing flyers and interested in also donations or helping fundraise, set up events. We have so much going on. I have a really amazing team, and I think we allow for a lot of opportunities to people to come into play. And we have, I said, we have 60,000 people to reach. And so if anybody is out there that are listening and they want to come down to Chittenden County and be able to really, make a big impact in our community, we're all for it. And so I also have to mention, I give a shout out to the guy I'm running with / against, whatever you want to call it. He's a great guy, Bruce Roy. He's also running. He's from Williston.
And who are some of the people that are incumbents who are running?
The incumbents are Tom Chittenden, Virginia Lyons, Ginny Lyons, apologies, and Keisha Romsonsdale. And then there's also 2 other people challenging that for the Democrats. So we don't have a primary that we have to worry about. We're just going straight to the general election. So that makes it a little bit easier. So basically we're campaigning now till November 4th. And really looking forward to doing it and meeting people along the way. But if there's anybody out there, again, talking to you, if there's anybody out there that wants to be involved, because we're going to need a lot of help if we want to be able to do the right thing for Vermont. Please reach me. Also, at my email is javen@javensears.com. Just go to my website too. Sign up for marketing.
And you're working very hard. I give you a lot of compliments for that. You're out pounding the pavement. That's great.
Yep. And we have a lot of exciting things. And I do want to announce one exciting thing that I have not mentioned at all to really anybody. Is this a first? This is a first.
Pay attention.
So we're making a post about it here soon. I got accepted to be one of the judges for the Calvin Coolidge Presidential Foundation. They do this Calvin Coolidge Cup. The Coolidge Cup they do, it's some of the top debaters in high school across the country. People going to Harvard, Yale, Stanford. They come down to the presidential site in Plymouth, Plymouth Notch, and it's a beautiful site. People haven't gone
gorgeous.
to it. It's
I agree with you.
Unbelievable. And so they do it every year. They give out, I think the winner gets $10,000.
Nice.
It's really exciting. And they do scholarships also throughout the year. It's a really, amazing program. We went down there a few months ago, and so I'm going to be one of the judges
that's
for
really great.
For the tournament. And it goes from July 2nd through the 4th. I'm going to have to miss the finals because I have to go and campaign in Williston, but I will be doing that for 3 days.
Excellent. Could you give me some information, because I'd like to post it and get people to know?
I will. I will send you. I'll send you everything, and it's open for the public to come and watch and enjoy the debate tournament.
Great place to ride a motorcycle too, in case anybody's out there. We've taken our bikes.
And if people don't know of Calvin Coolidge, just want to let everybody know he's the 30th president of the United States, and he's from Vermont, and he's one of the most known conservative advocates. So he's a great mentor.
Great
to
story
learn from.
there.
Great
That's
story.
Great. Congratulations on everything, and I wish you a lot of luck knocking on doors and smiling and
I know we're going
debating.
Oh wow, we're right on time.
Yes, we are. We did good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Nice to have you on the show.
I appreciate it. Likewise.
This is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the sound bites. You know what that means? If somebody says it's free, you darn well better do some research.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Exactly. Anyway, see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye.